Good morning. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, where truth is in the talk. There is power in truth, and we believe that truth will set you free. Good morning, Melody. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fantastic today. Good morning, listeners. Sunshiny day here on the Eastern Shore, and that was me tap dancing.
That was you tap dancing?
You sing, I'll tap dance. How about
All
that?
right, yeah, because I can't right now. I can't tap dance right now. my broken elbow.
Do you tap dance on your elbow?
I tried. That didn't work really well.
Use your feet. Yeah, use your feet there, lady. All right.
All right.
Beautiful day, sunshiny today, and
it's beautiful. It's beautiful here.
So many crazy things going on, and I'm not sure where we want to get started today, but let's get started.
Yeah, because you were on a roll. She was on a roll before we went on the air. She was hot. She was hot, and she was upset about something, weren't you?
Well, let's go ahead, because I got this thing about the Georgia Senate blocks a tax bill benefiting Delta Airlines, and that's in reference to the NRA, and you had something you wanted to talk about the shooting, so let's go ahead and do that, and then I'll bring this in. I'll segue into
Well,
that.
I have a little bit on that on the NRA, too, so we'll save that there for a little bit later then. Well, I had there was a university that in North Carolina, and, you know, we've had an awful lot of snowflakes that are, you know, they need their safe spaces, and I'm not for calling people names. In fact, I am so innocent. You're going to laugh at this. When I didn't realize, I never heard the term honky or cracker until I watched The Jeffersons back in the day. I'd never heard that. I'd never heard those references, those name calls.
Yeah.
I don't, my mind doesn't go that way. You know, it just doesn't go that direction. And I had heard the N word, obviously. That's, you know, I had heard that, but I hadn't heard the others, and I had not. So, but this is a university, and they were having some kind of a debate or something, and it's the bias that's all one-sided. I mean, if this had been one of the black students or Hispanic students or another student that had been called bad words, there would have been a lot of steam headed up. But this was a white boy, and they had tweeted it out and written it out a couple of different ways. And anyway, they were calling him a mayonnaise monster looking. It starts with an A, ends with an HOLE. And he wanted, which I don't agree with, he wanted to bring a lawsuit up against them, and the university wouldn't allow it. They said no. And they were going to just go to these students and say, you know, that you wouldn't want other people to talk about you like that, would you? Is this the community you want to live in? And they were going to bring that up at the LGBTQ Center meeting because I guess they were the ones guilty of calling this young man names. And it just goes to show you they're doing everything except educating these children in college. They're paying really big bucks to go to these universities, and these kind of things being said and done. And I'm against all the lawsuits. In fact, I was talking last night. I was watching the crazy news, and somebody's suing the government here, they're suing there. And I think, is that all our government is a lawsuit? That's all they seem to do, is want to bring up more lawsuits. And, you know, when we were talking about, of course, gun control is really at the top of the conversations, it seems, this day. And a CNN analyst, he was interviewing some women, and he was saying that he didn't think women should carry a gun because of the clothes that they wear. They wear dresses and these things. Well, he absolutely knew nothing about concealed carry, because they have special garments for women who want to carry. They have holsters that go in different areas, and it is very simple to be a female and to carry a gun. They even have special purses, and they're quite stylish. I guess they're ruined if you have to use one, but they're quite stylish, and they have the brassiere holsters, and they have holsters that go under the arm, hidden under the arm. They have. Yeah, I know I said that, didn't I?
You said brassiere on the radio.
I did say brassiere on the radio. And they have the holsters that go on the inner thigh. So anyway, they have all kinds of different holsters for women to carry if they're wearing dresses. It is harder to conceal when you're wearing tight-fitting dresses, but it can be done.
Maybe we should get away from tight-fitting dresses. But
maybe we should. Anyway, this CNN guy, he didn't really know what he was talking about, and he kind of showed his ignorance, and that just goes to show you they really don't know much about anything, and yet they're the ones that are going to tell everybody else how to live and what you should and shouldn't do, and somebody ought to take him out and go shooting with him.
I had to laugh. I had to laugh this weekend. I was watching I was just flipping, checking the news, see if anything, something serious happened, and I hit the CNN, and the reason I have to admit this, I do leave CNN on my TV because my dog, I leave the TV on. I shouldn't admit this.
Your dog likes CNN?
I leave the TV on when I leave for the dog, and to make sure, there's noise in the house and so forth. But I always leave CNN on because they don't run fuzzy commercials with dogs and so forth. I mean, they never run a dog commercial, so she gets upset. I mean, it's like some of these other stations, they run all these fuzzy commercials, with dogs and stuff, and she goes nuts, so she has to see it.
She probably likes Rachel Ray.
but what's funny, there was a woman on there, she was interviewing, and they were talking about having teachers with concealed carry. And, they're really distorting that whole story,
absolutely.
whole theory behind it. They're saying, every teacher shouldn't have to. Well, no, I mean, they don't even listen. But this woman, I was like, she was just, what? If you have a teacher that is carrying a weapon inside, what would they do if they had to confront? The police wouldn't know who to shoot when they came in. I mean, they wouldn't. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, are you kidding me? I mean, it was just, her logic wasn't even, but it was of a 2-year-old. In fact, even a 2-year-old has better logic than she did.
Well, and that was one of the comments last week from one of these, and I don't know if it was CNN or MSNBC, but they were interviewing somebody, and they go, the woman was saying, well, if there's guns in the school, wouldn't you be concerned about that? The children would be around the guns? And it's going, I'm more concerned about the one coming in here than I am about the one that's already in here. It's like, seriously, these people have no concept. They're as innocent as I was, never hearing the word honky or cracker, I guess. They just don't understand what what it means
how
to
old
defend
were you?
yourself.
There is a big difference. How old?
Well, the Jeffersons, I was probably in my, late teens, early 20s. I mean, when was the Jeffersons on? I don't know. But I'd never heard those comments until the Jeffersons. And anyway, they just don't seem to get what true, self-defense is. And there was, and I think I actually had a young woman on the air several years ago on CSC Talk Radio, and she had been a woman. I don't know if she's the same one Dana Lesh was talking about, but this woman has done a lot of going around and speaking, and she is now a gun carrier. She's now married, has several children, but she was raped in her dorm room. Someone came in and raped her in her dorm room. And she didn't know the guy. He had been stalking her. She didn't know that either. He'd been watching every move, knew exactly when she was going to be where and all this and that. Anyway, he came in her dorm room, broke in her dorm room through the window or something and brutally raped her. And she had no defense. And so now she speaks out about women taking self-defense. It's not just about carrying a gun. There's more to it than that. It's about self-defense. And there's other ways to defend yourself without a gun, but a gun is sure better if you got it there and you can get to it. And
truly, and you're right. It's not even just that. She goes out and speaks and so forth. But you know what? How many rapists would be prevented if they knew people were carrying, if women were carrying?
I was trying to look this up this morning. I had gotten, several years ago, I had gotten it was a statistic, and there were several things that were listed, but one of them was a serial rapist that was attacking women in the state of Florida. And this was years ago. And the cops got together, and they were giving self-defense and gun training to women. And it was in the newspapers. People were signing up, and you know what? The serial rapist kind of backed off because he didn't know which woman had a gun, which woman was going to fight back, shooting, and it was just. And I could not find it this morning when I was just trying to do a quick search for that. It just kept bringing up the shooting from last week, 2 weeks ago from Florida. But you're right. It does mature. Absolutely.
Well, I am.
And humble and modest.
I am. Well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead. Let's see, how many minutes do we have until break time here? But I wanted to bring this up. This is about the Georgia Senate is blocking the tax bill that is benefiting Delta Airlines. On Monday, yesterday, the Georgia Senate blocked, at least temporarily, the passage of a bill that would have benefited Delta Airlines after the company cut the ties with the NRA. The Atlanta-based company has been steering legislation through the Georgia General Assembly that exempts jet fuel from the state sales tax. The company hit a snag, however, after announcing Saturday that it was ending a partnership under which the airline provided discounted fares to the NRA members traveling to the organization's annual meeting. Following the company's announcement, a growing number of Senate Republicans had moved to strip the provision out of the broader tax cut bill that had already passed the state legislation. The Lieutenant Governor, Casey Cagle, said he wasn't supporting the legislation unless the company changes its position and fully reinstates its relationship with the NRA. The company was facing public pressure to end its relationship with the NRA in the wake of what happened in Florida. And so Delta is one of the several companies, along with Enterprise that we talked about last week and the First National Bank of Omaha and MetLife, that have relented and cut ties with the organization. What's interesting about this, the tax cut is $40 million in tax breaks from Georgia taxpayers. So if Delta is so flush that they don't need NRA memberships, hard-earned dollars, they can certainly do without the $40 million tax breaks that they are asking Georgia taxpayers for. And my problem is I think a company has every right to pick and choose who they want to do business with. However, my issue with here is the $40 million tax break. But these airports are crumbling. They're getting $40 million in tax breaks from the Georgia taxpayers. That's what I'm outraged about. Why do we have to continue to be paying taxes to these companies so they can do business? And then they get a tax cut from 35% down to 21%. And all the other special benefits that they've gotten that we don't even know about. When is the taxpayer going to stop paying for all these tax breaks? And then that article led me into something about Jeff Bezos.
Or Bozos, whichever way you want to look at it.
We'll talk about it.
I love it when she gets riled up. Oh, that fire in her eyes. We're going into a break. I'm going to go ahead and give the number, but we're going to let Melody get fired up. 717-300-1218 is Power Talk. 717-300-1218, and Melody's got the power, and we will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a reestablished Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And we're going to have to church listening to Power Talks. And Melody, she's got the power today. She is all wound up, and we're going to let her take off.
No, it is. It's just that these, they get a $40 million tax break, so the taxpayers are paying for them to be in Atlanta. And it's just, and that's just one tax break. And I got a couple of articles here I wanted to talk about. One was Amazon made $5.6 billion in profits. 5.6, and I don't condemn anyone for making a profit. You work hard.
Profits are what we all want. Yeah.
Profits is what we all want. But he reportedly paid $0 American dollars in federal taxes. Now, this is the richest guy in the world. His net worth is $108 billion. He took in $5.6 billion in U.S. profits, and he effectively paid $0 in federal income taxes in 2017. Amazon is projecting almost $1 billion, $789 million, almost $1 billion windfall from the tax bill. And this is according to the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy. And it's just, what is wrong with this picture? Now, Amazon's global headquarters, it's not in Seattle, but it's in Luxembourg. And in Seattle, Amazon employs about 40,000 people compared to 1,500 in Luxembourg. The European Union has accused Luxembourg of giving illegal tax breaks to Amazon and has ordered the country to recover about $300 million in back taxes. Well, when you're when your wealth is $108 billion, even $300 million is pocket change for Amazon. And so Amazon was able to effectively zero out its federal income tax burden. And it's like, what is wrong with this picture? And, he'll be able to create more jobs here in the United States. Well, doesn't anybody remember the reports of how like half of their employees were on food stamps? hey, Bezos, how about giving the employees a little bit of an increase in wages so they don't have to go to government for food stamps? He also had, this I didn't know, last summer he took to Twitter to ask his followers how to do philanthropy. Okay, the guy doesn't know how to give back. You know, I mean, it's like, what is wrong with these pictures? So now, for him to move, now this is the richest man in the world. Now he is looking to move his headquarters perhaps to the United States. Okay, there's 1,500 employees in Luxembourg, okay? Do you really think that he would increase or need to have 1,500 people here in the United States? That's the most that he would hire, but he already has employees here, so I'm sure he'd just work them an extra hour or two to make up for those 1,500 people. I mean, come on. I mean, and it's just like, I pay my taxes, and again, I'm not in his league, but there's just something wrong. You know, we have a country that is drowning in debt. And everything is always done to the tax cuts. And if you really believe that it's going to trickle down to any degree of benefit to where it would show beneficial to this country, I got a bridge. I got a bridge that I can sell you.
Over troubled water? A bridge over troubled water. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, everything is just an illusion. Everything is just a facade. To me, the tax cuts were really done because they're desperate. They're desperate. But then again, I'm thinking, well, how desperate are they? They go into trillions of dollars in debt so we can have a tax cut, $1.5 trillion, so we can have a tax cut that's only temporary for the people. And it says 8 years for the people, permanent for the corporations. However, for the people, it does say the fine print, big print giveth, little print taketh away. The little print says, hey, we can increase taxes. Yeah, you got a good 8 years on these tax cuts, but if we need to, we can change that from, within the 8 years. So
read my lips, no new taxes.
Exactly. It
read the fine print.
Change. It's not going to change. This country is bankrupt. And I was reading another article today. The headline was, it's time to ban stock buybacks. It's the same way with Bezos. His compensation is his stock. Why do you think these shareholders, why do you think everybody's buying back their stocks? And so the shareholders benefit. And it's like, there's no fundamental wealth or any fundamentals on the stock market over 25,000. It's corporations buying back their shares. And it's like, don't people get it? And corporate America has pledged since the tax cuts. I just found this article this morning, and I really didn't have a chance to pull out the highlights of it. But with these tax cuts, the money is going to be pumped into stock buybacks. It allows these corporations to repurchase their own stock, which juices their company's stock prices. And your corporate executives, they're incentivized to use profits. And they take on debt. Hey, when you can borrow and use other people's money at next to zero, sure, they're going to go into debt to do the buybacks. It's free money. It's cheap money. It's cheaper than using their own because they can invest in other parts of the world. Corporate America has pledged 30 times more to buying back its own shares than investing in its workforces with the tax cut. That's according to a new analysis by this academic industry research network. 44 companies on the S&P 500 have promised more money to workers through either bonuses or wage increases as a consequence of the new tax law, which comes to $5.2 billion, $3.7 billion in one-time bonuses, and $1.5 billion in wage bumps. The study's calculations are based on the assumption that these companies will reward the widest possible swath of employees. which news accounts make clear it's not the case, because we hear people are being laid off in order to do this. Meanwhile, 34 companies on the S&P 500 have announced $157 billion in stock buybacks since December. So, okay, let's look at these numbers. $5.2 billion to bonuses and wage increases, and $157 billion to stock buybacks. Thank you for the trickle down. Thank you for the I'll go to create jobs. Really? Sure, there's going to be sure you're going to see some sort of an impact, just like we saw with Reagan's tax cuts. There was about, a year and a half where people, trickled down a little bit. But then we went into a very large recession. Debt went up 120, 130%. This is no different.
How much farther do you think our debt can go up before we crash?
I mentioned this, I think, on this program. I read a statement. Debt doesn't matter until it does.
Yeah, you did. You did read that. It was very deep, very deep.
You're very deep, very deep, very insightful.
Well, and it is true. I mean, because when I've gone to some classes before, statistics only matter when they're you. So,
you're right. But I mean,
true.
I don't know how high the debt can go. I don't know the optimism, and they're going to repatriate money back, and you are going to have something. But how is it going to benefit truly the country? What have we given up?
So much.
We've given up so much, and you can promise me all you want, but the things that we've given up are not being addressed. You have Kimberly-Clark. They used its tax cut savings for a $2.3 billion buyback and a dividend increase. And then they used the rest to fund a corporate restructuring that translates to 5,000 lost jobs. There's another corporation. Over the past decade, companies have given 94% of their profits right back to the shareholders through dividends or buybacks. And this is from the Academic Industry Research Network. Between 2005 and 2015, companies on the S&P spent $4 trillion buying back their own stock, as well as $3.9 trillion on increased dividends. And at a time when the CEO to worker pay gap hovers near 300 to 1. So yeah, we'll get some trickle down. Maybe it'll be 300 to 2. I mean, I hear someone said to me the other day, well, my brother's getting $100 a week back. My sister's getting, $40 a week. We've heard reports, Paul Ryan was, pleased to hear $1.50. That'll pay for the Costco membership annual.
Yes.
So you're going to have a wide range of people that might be affected, but for how long and how much, even tax on gas. Here we're doing, we're going to be exporting, we're going to become energy independent and blah, 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 blah. Let's drill the oceans. And the first thing out of their mouths is, well, you know what, we can have a gas increase. We can have a gas tax. We can add a gas tax. Gasoline isn't going down, folks. It's not going down. You think it's going to go down to 30 cents like this? The Saudis are paying cents per gallon?
Well, in these companies, when we're talking about the jobs coming in, and I'm trying to remember the one company, I can't remember the name of them. We talked about it a few weeks ago. But they're also the ones that are pushing and promoting the HB1 visa, because those jobs that they're going to bring in here, they're also wanting to bring in visa immigrants to fill those jobs, not necessarily Americans right here. So we might gain a few jobs, but it's not going to be the they're not going to hire all Americans. They're going to hire outsiders to do some of these jobs. And that's just the truth of it.
I live on close to the shore, Eastern Shore.
Yeah, you brag about that all the time.
Oh, I know. Flip-flops. I have a funny story to tell you about flip-flops.
Okay.
But during the summer, when, the boardwalks open up and everything, they don't hire local children. They bring in foreigners.
Mm.
The people who can board these foreigners get tax breaks. They get paid to house them. And they're good kids. I mean, they want to come here and work. I was listening to a program the other day, and the radio person was talking about maybe we need to change our child labor laws. Maybe we need to put some of our kids back to work.
Are these the same people that were complaining when President Trump let the 10-year-old mow the yard?
I don't know. I don't think so.
That was that was slave labor. He shouldn't have done that, And it's like, really, seriously, come on.
No, it didn't have anything to do with that. I mean, the guy was talking about, we grew up in a world we wanted to work. It didn't matter what we got paid. We wanted to work.
I babysat for $1 a day. $5 a week I babysat, and I fixed a huge meal for lunch because it was a farm family, and the woman worked at a local doctor's office, and the husband was out tending the farm. So I kept the two girls, and they came home for lunch, and I mean, we had a big lunch, whether it was fried pork chops, gravy, and potatoes, or whatever the case may be. I mean, for $1 a day, and I thought I was doing well.
I mean, they need to eliminate these subsidies. I mean, just like here on the boardwalk, the businesses, they probably get a subsidy for hiring the HB1 visa people. And everybody's a foreigner on the boardwalk. Everybody that works on the boardwalk are young kids, teenagers, that I don't know who pays their fare over, but I guarantee you the businesses get a break for hiring them. If you house them, you get a break. And all this is coming from the city and for federal governments. So it's like, maybe if they quit all the subsidies, maybe it would allow, the cities to, cut our property taxes. Gee, what about that? But anyway, and all you hear about is the young kids today is, well, it doesn't pay enough. The jobs on, serving French fries on the boardwalk is minimum. It doesn't pay enough to waste our time. Well, maybe parents need to start saying, no, get out there,
get a job,
and get yourself a job.
Yeah.
Because you learn so much. You learn about the world. You learn discipline. I mean, and this is what this fellow was talking about. Maybe we need to eliminate our child labor laws. So, but anyway. So back to the tax cuts and everything like that. So, there's just trillions of dollars that are flowing out of these companies that are being used to help these hedge fund activists for further buybacks. And, I mean, it's just, so you tell me.
What do you want me to tell you? My kids had jobs.
Where these tax cuts are going to be beneficial, and who did they really help?
True.
And I think
the big
disappointment. I think the people were sold a bill of goods just like we were sold a bill of goods for Obamacare. But we won't know that for a while.
I was being set from the get-go. We have Joe in Arkansas. Joe, how are you today?
Oh, I'm happy to see that winter is getting late. And spring is on the way, and how are you all?
It is. Spring is on the way. We're doing good. Thank you.
Yeah, all right. Well, I wanted to say something that I found interesting that I heard this Sunday. And I was talking to this businessman that has spent 10 months in China, and he said that the Chinese attitude is that the United States is their number one enemy, and that the battlefield is everywhere. And they consider their trade with America as a front in the war that they're waging against America. And of course, we have all these, and so I've also heard recently, it might have been a Melody show, that China is now moving big time into South America and Latin America and becoming the number one economic power in the South American and Central American countries, replacing the United States. And so what I see is that Trump is trying to, and of course, Trump has recently proposed a tariff on imported steel and maybe some other things. What was it?
Aluminum.
Solar panels and other things like this. Mm-hmm. And so what I see is that there's already, and of course the free traders are accusing Trump of wanting to start a trade war. And so what I see is that there is an ongoing trade war against us that has been going on for a long, long time. It's been weakening us and weakening us and weakening us more and more and more. And Trump is trying to do a little bit to protect our interests against this ongoing trade war against us. And the free traders are screaming that he's out to start a trade war. And but as far as the debt goes, again, I see that the problem of the debt, it looks to me like it just has to be very largely because of our trade policies. Because just think of it, about 80% of the time, when we go to the store and buy something, it comes from a foreign country, and so immediately when we spend the money on it, the money goes out of the country. So all this money that is spent on all the common consumer goods is continuously draining and draining and draining out of the country. So that hundreds of billions of dollars drain out of the economy every year because of our trade policies. So then what I would see is that we would be bound to have a deep depression unless the government and businesses were continuously, and people were continuously borrowing more and more and more and running up the debt more and more and more, so that we actually have some money here in this country to spend. So I don't see how this debt problem can be fixed without first fixing the trade problem, so that we at least don't run a trade deficit, so that we, at least on our foreign trade, we break even, so that we're not draining money continuously, huge amounts of money out of the country because of our foreign trade. We need to at least break even on foreign trade to have any hope of getting the debt down. So that's my comment on the economic situation this morning.
Well, you know what? I agree with you, Joe. I mean, as far as China, the way they view the United States, and I've shared this many, many, many times over the years. I remember reading an article, and they broke down, and this article was written in the 20s, early 30s, and they broke down the Chinese different sectors, and one of them was, China will come to you as a friend, but they don't have friends. I mean, this is, and when we talk about cultures don't change in China. So they don't, at that point in time in the 30s and 20s, and not at that point in time did they, think that, and they change now. We are their enemy. And only the people in America think that China is our friend. They have exported our inflation, and every trinket that we buy from China has only allowed them to become more powerful, and they used us. Whether the elite used them against us, all remains to be seen. But the point is, we are our own worst enemy sometimes. We continue to buy these trinkets from China, and the more money into them, they exported our inflation, and all it comes back to is a poorly managed monetary policy. Because these were all things that they had to do. Once they started messing with the economy and thinking that the Federal Reserve could control the booms and the busts through interest rates manipulation, we never came out of any of the recessions that we went into or depressions. It was all based on debt, creation of debt. And they were able to do that by taking us off the gold standard. And I mean, it goes deeper and deeper, but I mean, as far as a quick synopsis of what happened, and every time we had a recession since then, we come out of it not through adjustments, but through creation of various financial products to create the illusion that we came out of the recession. And yeah, I guess maybe you could say that was a little bit of trickle down from coming out of those recessions. But each time we have a recession, we don't come out better, people don't come out better.
No.
We've been showing that we've been working harder, longer, multiple jobs, and it all comes back to a poorly managed monetary policy. Because we have inflation, because we have a fiat currency, it isn't going to change until that is addressed. It isn't the trade policies, it isn't anything. Our monetary policy has to change. The only way that is going to change, the only way, is after we collapse from the amount of debt that has been created, and I just don't think we're that far away. Because
and then it'll be forced. That'll be a forced change.
Because I think what is happening, I think with the tax cuts, and God bless Trump, I think with the tax cut, I think these are all signs. It isn't signs to make America great again. I think it's desperation. And I don't think anybody really realizes how bad we are until they get into that position. I'll guarantee you he didn't realize we were as bad off as we are. And yes, and it's hard to see. We see building going on. Well, builders build because they have to build, because they're beholden to the banks and debt. They have to keep building, and but it is hard to see. And I'm not saying the economy hasn't improved, but what did it improve on? It improved on debt. So we're in this, we're these little chipmunks, I guess, in that little cycle thing. And eventually the little chipmunk's going to get tired, or that little squirrel is going to get tired of running on that treadmill, and he's just going to collapse.
Not going to get that corn. Joe, thank you so much for your insight. We're heading into a break.
Thank you, Joe. Great comment.
We're headed into a break. 717-300-1218 is the number to call with Power Talks. It's Melody and Beth Dan in the morning, and we'll be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, and we've been having quite the conversation. It's been as good a show during commercials as it has been on the air. Sometimes we shouldn't even go to commercials. You know, just to go back briefly, because I was doing most of the listening in the last segment, was that, you know, they use the inflation and they use the debt to keep things going. And you know, I'm not a financial wizard by any means, but I do know that it's a manipulation and they're using it to keep going. And we got into trouble a long time ago. And you know, I don't know how they're going to turn it around, and I think it's like you said. In fact, you know, I did a Bible study called Experiencing God a long time ago, and it was by Henry Blackaby. And even with that, it says anytime, any change, whether it's in business, whether it's in your personal life, regardless of what it is, usually if you have change, it follows some sort of a tragedy. Something's happened in your life or in those times that has perpetrated and forced a change. And I think that's where we're headed.
Well, I have breaking news.
Breaking news, okay.
I have breaking news.
I like the word break lately, but okay.
President Trump has announced his 2020 run.
Oh. I never doubted it.
Tuesday. Well, you know what? It's a little early to be talking about the 2020 election. Good grief.
Well, they were talking about that inauguration, or the mainstream media was. He's never going to make it to 2020. Hey, we haven't even taken office yet.
Just 1 year into his presidency, Trump stunned the political world today by announcing he is running for re-election in 2020. Digital guru Brad Parscale, Parscale, will be named campaign manager. There's 980 days, almost 1,000 days before election. I think this has been one of the earliest announcements. Obama announced 582 days, so good brilliant. Oh my God.
Oh, not another election, please. Not another election yet.
You know. So anyway, so that is the breaking news. He's in for 2020. And he's got 3 more years. He might just change his mind after 3 years. But
he might not. You know, that was one thing. That was one of his little jokes at CPAC in his speech was, you know, we've got 7 more years to get things done. And of course, he was talking about this.
I mean, people could be very sharp at 75 and 85. You can be very, very sharp, but you know, it's anyway, I'm not going to go any further.
I was going to say, let's not talk about being old. Let's not talk about that.
Insert mouth. But, you know, getting back to our economy and so forth, I do believe a lot of things that are being made is done by desperations. And, yeah, we talk about, you know, fixing our deficits. We talk our trade deficits. We talk about this. And anything that can be done certainly can be viewed as a positive. But is it going to be effective? And in my opinion, with what I read and so forth, no, I don't. I believe we're going to, and I agree with you, you know, there's usually some sort, in order to change anything, you have to have, you know, some sort of a, some sort of a disaster, something that forces you
something forces it. Mm-hmm.
Something forces to make that change. And that was one of the reasons why I did vote for Trump, was because I figured he'd be the best person in there for this type of change that we face. Although he's certainly throwing a lot of debt at our problem. But, you know, I guess at this point, why not? Why not throw as much as you can at it and see if it does make a difference? Highly unlikely that it will, because I just think we're too far gone. So what do you do?
Maybe he's trying to force that tragedy. Maybe he's trying to force that break.
Maybe.
You know?
It could very well be. And but what are you going to do about it? How do you protect? There's more and more discussions on this universal basic income. How is that going to work? Why are they promoting that so heavily? Because what's going to happen when the system collapses? People are going to be losing. And I don't mean to get people upset and so forth. I'm just trying to get you to think about what you're going to do to protect yourself, because it is coming. We just don't know when. And but they're promoting this universal basic income. There's trillions of dollars sitting there in pension funds, IRA accounts, retirement accounts that stand to get wiped away or used in times of distress. Maybe they'll use that for the basic universal income, because where are they going to be coming up for $500, $600, $700, $800 a month to send to every citizen of this country? I can't go on very long. Where's the money for that? So they're testing it for other reasons. They're testing it for other situations, and I believe they'll usher it in at a time of collapse, because people will lose anywhere. Estimates have been anywhere from 50, 60, 70, 80% of their money. And a new monetary policy will be ushered in. We will have a new monetary system that is ushered in. So how do you protect yourself? And you all know where I'm going with this. Gold and silver. It will be recognized as wealth, because when you have the global monetary system collapse, I mean, we talking about the United States, but where is it any different anywhere else?
Everybody's having trouble. Everybody's running on debt. Almost everybody.
And they can't, they're all between a rock and a hard place. So when it goes, and that's what it's been designed to do, when it goes, it's all going to go. Wealth will be, gold will be recognized as wealth. You still have to have something that's real, that has been wealth, and it will always be gold. They don't want you to have it. Heck no. That's why they call it a barbaric relic. They don't want you to have it. They want you in paper, so they get wealthier, more powerful. And the wealthier and more powerful they become, the easier it is to destroy you. So it's destroy you, to control you. The more you're in their debt world, the less freedom you have. So for monetary freedom, gold and silver is where it's at. So if you don't want to be out of the stock market paper completely, my opinion is take your profits, if you're making any, even with these high levels. There's a lot of people that are just getting even from the crash. But take what you have and diversify into gold and silver. It's just not about having money to spend. For some that's suitable for. But there's a lot of people with a lot of money in your retirement accounts that's just going to get wasted away. If not through the collapse, through inflation, your purchasing power is going to continue to decline. Inflation is not going away. It hasn't gone away. It's here to stay until the end. It's not good inflation that we're experiencing. That's what they tell you. But so, again, we have major problems. This country's been bankrupt for years.
Oh, yeah.
I remember Trafficant. I remember he said in the 90s this country was bankrupt, and shortly thereafter he was in jail. There was other issues, but he recognized it and made statements to Congress in the early 90s. This country's bankrupt. And of course he was shortly thereafter ruined. But
and I think we have to understand too that those people that are involved, the ones that are running it and keeping the debt going up, they're the ones making the profit on it. That's why they have their inside trading. That's why they have some of these other things that they think is okay. They're profiting by this. When we call them career politicians, that's exactly what they are. And they might throw us a bone every now and then, Yeah. But it's they're profiting.
Legislation isn't written for us; it's written for them. And don't ever forget that. They've changed. Originally,
and gun control isn't for safety.
No, originally it was, but once we became, once the Federal Reserve and everything else, and they're bankers. Bankers were always in control, but we always had booms and busts. There was always a fight for a central bank. And then they finally were able to accomplish one in 1913. So 800-375-4188. That's 1-800-375-4188 for Discount Gold and Silver Trading, which this program is sponsored by. Give us a call. We're more than happy to talk to you. We're not financial planners, but I can, if you need a financial planner, I can find one for you that I trust. But give us a call at 800-375-4188.
Visit the website at dgscoins.com. She's got lots of information there in her newsletter, and get signed up for it. Melody, it's been another day. The hour is gone, and it has gone fast.
I'm a little more calmer.
You are a little calmer. You got it all off your chest. Good. Now you can do it again later on your next show on Financial Survivor. Anyway, we will see you tomorrow morning.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today, so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.